Chapter 17, First Blood, First Kill. Packing up their belonging and preparing to set off to Roper Lake, Jonathan and Elisha passed out table. Elisha said to everyone, "We were thinking and decided to make this table for everyone. They can be used for entertainment or personal use. Honestly, for anything. There's a real-time GPS, internet with anti-tracking software embedded into the system, and a 65.5 GHz processor, 25 terabit hard drive with 16 terabit of memory. This system is exclusively for US and totally hack-proof. Wanyeniekvu was the only one who didn't know how to operate the device, so Elisha pointed to a few buttons embedded in the screen. Click on the real-time GPS here, and you'll see US, pointing to the blue dot on the screen. I continued, une Someon HAS a clocking device, we will see them before they see US. Using his finger to zoom in and out, et continued, this is our destination, you see this patch of red dot here and a massive red patch here. Wanyeniekvu was uncertain about which path to take. I looked at the table playing with the button and moving the screen. Wanyeniekvu, looking at the red dot, either way, we go, there's a lot of people out here for this place to be called no man's land. Wanyeniekvu studied the device for a minute and zoomed in and out. These are mountains he would imagine, he said, and Elisha replied, yes, and these are valleys. You see how they are formed like a horse. We don't want to get ambushed in one of those. Studying the device, Wanyeniekvu said, Silver City will take 2 days, so let's just head toward Silver City and see what it look like tonight when we pitch camp. Heading west, they were in group of 3 and arranged according to their shift. Elisha, Joy, and Wanyeniekvu were the leading group, followed by Jom, Elia, and Daniel, while Jonathan, Grace, and Mercy were in the rear. Looking back, Wanyeniekvu said, "You're not able to take down the building you guys created." Elisha said, "No, they have to be destroyed, no weapon or equipment were left behind, they are just a building." Wanyeniekvu said, "Oh no, it's not important, he was just curious." They traveled about 5 miles southwest of Caballo Lake. Jonathan and Elisha looked at each other and then at Wanyeniekvu. "Do you remember those red dots back there?" Elisha asked. Wanyeniekvu said, "Yeah." Jonathan interrupted, "Well, they are still there, but they are heading our way. We have about 25 G-ships coming straight toward US heading northwest." Wanyeniekvu was looking at the table. "Are they the same red dot we saw earlier?" Elisha nodded, "We believe so." Wanyeniekvu paused, "Let's hope they are going to El Paso." Jonathan replied, "If they were going to El Paso, their speed would have dropped off miles before they got there. Look." Wanyeniekvu was already looking at the table as Jonathan made some adjustment to the table, which shows the speed the craft were traveling. Wanyeniekvu focused on the table as a G-ship raced by El Paso. Wanyeniekvu looked around. "There's nowhere to hide, we are in the middle of the desert, and the mountains are." Wanyeniekvu hesitated, "Let us walk and be prepared for anything, and maybe they will just fly by." Jonathan zoomed in closer. According to the hit signature, this originated from Wadipu Human Outpost. Jom turned to Wanyeniekvu, "I know you don't know much about this part, my people. I have mentioned before, this is called no man's land because of the drought of 2014 when reservoir and other above groundwater and groundwater source became depleted to the point that they never fully recovered. The Colorado River Basin, which they called it then, supplied water to about 40 million people and 4 to 5 million acres farmland in 7 states, some no longer exist today. Like what once was called California, part of Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and part of Nevada, Utah, and Wyoming. No man after that point, dared to travel it because of the drug and other illegal activity in this part, their rutl, and I mean rutl people. He said all of that to say this. They are coming for US somehow, they have found US. Looking at the map, he said, "Who else would be here?" "We were running from him. Have you forgotten?" Wanyeniekvu turned to Elisha and Jonathan. "How long do we have before they get here?" Looking at their table, Elisha said, "Roughly 25 minutes." Wanyeniekvu said, "You all should know by now that's about isable." ILL let you know something in 15. Wanyene que vu took a sit on the ground, just before a closed his eyes, et said, Ibrahimes children, be not afraid, but this is your kill only. Sabaoth HAS already said that you are his chosen, so no harm shall come to you. If he said it, it will be so. Have confidence in yourself. We will sit back and watch you. I have trained all my life, and I have killed no one in my life until recently, and my first kill was very painful. You'll need to get that first kill out of the way. They all nervously said, okay. Wanyene que vu meditated for a few moments and stood up, saying, the men shall pass, and within minute they will also return, they will land there. Pointing a few yards to the north of them. The big guy with the beard seemed to be the leader. They want the girls and Daniels to be their sex slave. But they want to repay you before they leave here because of their long trip from Jackson, Mississippi. Their bounty inter, indeed, sans from Wadipu. With a sad look on his face, a look at Grace, there's only one injury, and it look bad sister. Everyone speak at one time. What? Oh. Et looked down, Grace, you broke an nail and everyone log. Wanyene que vu then said. Just fight with confidence, Bezid, we are fighting for Sabaoth, that is why he can log and joke. Who can be against US when he is with US? Then it turned to Jonathan, your mouth is clean compared to ter. Just then, the G-ships passed. Wanyene que vu turned to Jom and Jonathan, pointing to a large rock, please sit. The G-ships landed, and the men got off their G-ships, just as said it would happen, it happened. An obese guy with a beard with a smile on his face said. Well, boys, look like we have a two for one. AFT bounty, and we can get some shit off our chest, after all, look at the brand on the horses in Carter. Pointing at Daniel, he wants the little boy first, and then he'll take. Pointing at Joy. Dead bitch there. Elia was furious. Bu nervous at the same time, what kind of man are you two happy boys, and my sister is not a bitch? The big guy pulled out his weapon. Well, ici. I think he'll fuck you first. Bitch. Joy interrupted and said, Elia, he got this one. He always saw his tip on those all classic movies, and he always wanted to do this. The man turned, fellow, we got alive one here. Who is after me? Et unzipped his pants and pulled out his penis. Joy grabbed his penis, and the man started jerking and trembling and then fell to the ground, screaming in pain. Joy took the man's penis and forced it into his mouth while wiping the blood from around his clot, looked up, smiled, next. The man started shooting, but Elisha had his force filled up vertically while Grace quickly ran to the back of the gang and killed 4 of the men by decapitating them with her assegai. Then she cut off the hand of those shooting while Elia and Daniel came in for the kill. Mercy turned into a cougar, killing a man, and quickly transformed into a black mamba, striking those nearby. Once the shooting stopped, Elisha joined in. All 25 men were dead. Once the dust settled, the children of Ibrahim stood there in shock as they looked at the corpse, Wanyene que vu walked up. Clean yourself off and be of good cheer because it was you or them. No more will we fight separately again, we shall fight a one from this day forward, but at first kill us. Elisha and Daniel started vomiting, and the sisters cried as Elia stood there staring at the dead body. Jonathan grabbed Elia and Jom helped the rest of them the best he could while Wanyene que vu searched through the G-ships. Once everyone had calmed down, Wanyene que vu called Jom and Jonathan, what is this they are carrying? Jonathan looked at the man's bag and said, remember those tiny vials that he had when he first met you. Scratching his head, he continued, well, this is 50 kilo of the same stuff worth over 5 million bitcoin just for 1 kilo, and this here is roughly 250 million bitcoin, whoever this belong to will surely come looking for it. That is no dub. Walking away, shaking his head, et repeated, 250 million bitcoin. Standing there thinking, Wanyene que vu said, since you and Jom are the only ones who know how to read these things, let's place this body on top of these G-ships, and Joy, I need you to blow all this up. Jonathan said, no, leave a few for us. Holding up his finger, G-ships, that is. Me and Elisha will do what we have to so they can track them, and we'll bury them for late. We will train you guys and return late because these horse will continue to give us trouble along a day have these brands on them. Wanyenyekevu said, okay, do what you have to. They took 15 of the skycraft and buried them after Jonathan and Elisha made a few modifications to them before giving Grace the geared. Grace said, just need you guys to stand back out of my way. Within seconds, she had the G-ships and the body piled up high as she could, then raced towards the rest of the group. Go. Ahead, Joy. Joy helped her out and blew up the G-ships with a charge of electricity, and the body began to burn. Wanyenyekevu said, let's be on our way, dead body don't smell too good burning. Let's try to make it as far as we can because there had to have been tracking devices on those G-ships. I continued, Grace, I need you to backtrack every so often and erase our tracks. Grace was busy with something but replied, no problem. Wanyenyekevu said, what is that popping sound? Grace said, he broke an nail after all holding her hand up. I'm clipping off the rest of them because fighting and looking good don't match. Wanyenyekevu and the rest logged. Jonathan and Elisha monitored the activity around them and noticed nothing was coming in their direction. Wanyenyekevu asked Jom, those sculpting we used before, can they be used for all of us and the horse? Jom replied, yes, but do you know how hard it is to sleep, smelling horse all night long? Wanyenyekevu said, true. Get with Elisha and Jonathan about a ventilation system or something because we still have about 25 miles or so before we get to the mountain terrain. Jom said, why not rest here, feed and water the horse, then travel at night, if it's okay with everyone else? We can use the mountains as cover. We can use 2 cubes side by side, one for the horse and one for us. Wanyenyekevu called everyone and asked them, and everyone agreed. They installed the cube in the mountains by the time they reached a safe location. They were weary and tired, so they called it a night. Wanyenyekevu was so tired that he was asleep when he said it the PO. He looked around, and it appeared as if he was in the distant past when he heard the voice of a lady speaking with power and authority, saying, except for small pocket of resistance, Sabaoth Church collectively and globally is no longer a ministry, but it is an industry. About 200 people were standing and clapping there and she continued. When a ministry become industry, it is treated as a business. And business are driven by profit, not profit. By manager, not minister. When profit becomes a motivating incentive, then corporation replace organisation. Corporation need products to sell, stock to be purchased, and a successful marketing strategy to be effective. The church a true corporation redefined by the great de CVHS turned the gospel into a product, the church body into stock, and evangelism into a method of marketing. The crowd got up again, clapping and cheering as she continued, minister and preacher are now public relation manager and corporate strategist and salesperson. Broadcast and telecast are commercial advertising venu complete with entertainer and performer who have replaced dedicated artist and music and worship ministry. They booked minister a motivational speaker not commissioned by God or received by pastor to preach the gospel and evangelize. Still, charisma, and image management have replaced the anointing of Sabaoth. Prominence and influence have replaced the power of the ancient Pharisee. The Holy Church is being held hostage while the Harlow Church take her place. She turned and pointed at Wanyenyekevu. Kush, please come forward. Wanyenyekevu look around and point to himself. Yes, please come forward, she said. Wanyenyekevu stand and slowly walks toward her, looking around for. Everything seems strange to him, hearing the lady as she continue, the switch has taken place in plain sight Buiden Boneat a stealth strategy of fusion through fiction. It was flawed and seamlessly carried out, while the saint prayed bu played. This is Babylon Rising. Wanyenyekevu, trying to remember where a sinner before, as she had finished talking, the entire scenery had changed again, and it looked as if they were in 2 days' time. I walked up, but about HAS a plan for this man. Everyone, I want you to meet Wanyényekevu, the great grandfather of Kush. Darkness covered the scene as she stepped down from the pulpit, and the audience disappeared. She smiled, my name is Akila Malek, and it is an honor to meet you, Wanyényekevu. Et suddenly heard Jonathan, Wanyényekevu. Awaken and confused, et asked, what is it Jonathan? What is wrong? Jonathan grabbed the tablet and pointed to it, we have 75 to 80 G-ships scouting around the area. Grace was sitting on her mat, crying. Wanyényekevu walked up to her and grabbed her hand, why are you crying? We have Sabaoth on our side, it doesn't matter if it's 10,000 men, Sabaoth is able. Grace said, no, he didn't go back and dust our tracks when we arrived, it's my fault they found us. He was tired. Wanyényekevu interrupted her, we all were tired, but it is what it is. Now, let's make the best of this. Always remember, we have Sabaoth on our side. We enlightened, not perfect. Plus, they could have tracked us from their last transmission. Who knows? Gathering everyone together, they looked at the tablet. The way they are moving around, they don't know exactly where we are at. Said Jonathan. No, they don't, Elia said, listening in on their conversation. They lost our tracks at the foot of the mountains, they have sentry set off for scout in all directions a few miles ahead. Pointing to Wanyényekevu's tablet, they are here, and here. Et posed. Hold on, et signaled everyone to be quiet, the shipment belong to an Abeni en Ahmed AQ1, et one the head of all responsible for the destruction of his shipment. Et posed again. 2 million Bitcoin reward, we have another bounty on our head. Wanyényekevu said, alright, Jom and Elia, let's attack the one closest to us first. Grace, I need you to attack the ones on foot, start, here the one the farthest from us, and work your way up toward us. Elisha and Daniel shall cover you. Once these are taken care of, Joy, I need you to stand guard here with Mercy and Jonathan, take your tablet, and destroy the scout at their return. Et tout for a second, we need some way to communicate, Elisha said. We do, the tablet, but once we use them, it will reveal our location. Wanyényekevu said, that won't work then. Are they on some kind of communicator, themselves? Elia said, yes. Wanyényekevu looked up, make sure everyone destroy those devices, except one, Grace, you get that one, and the rest must be destroyed. Et carefully went over the plan and he said, Jom, time to get those sniper rifle out. Jonathan left first. Invisible, and took out about 5 men, followed by Mercy and Joy, making their way up to the highest peak, taking cover and waiting for the G-ships to return. Wanyényekevu, Jom, and Elia spread out, found a comfortable location, and started picking off men left and right, killing about 15. Grace ran out for 5 miles and stopped, sorry, I need this. She said to one man before she quickly grabbed the communicator, the men were still in shock. She took out her assegai, killing him and 5 more men in less than 5 seconds, taking her tablet out as she located the enemy. There were 2 men to the east of her, she ran and cut them in half, just running past them at a high rate of speed. 10 men were about a mile ahead, the men didn't even know what happened a day later dying. Heading toward Daniel and Elisha, she saw them fighting off 7 men, she joined in and helped finish them. Afterward, they headed toward Wanyényekevu, Jom, and Elia. Grace. Wanyényekevu said, I need you to destroy all these G-ships. No problem, and here's that communicator. Then Wanyényekevu turned to Elia, Elia, make your way up to Joy and the rest just in case they need your help, and here, take the communicator with you. Jom and he will start getting our gear and horse ready to get out of here. Elia had made his way up the mountain. Joy shouted, over here. It was Jonathan. Nothing yet, but this four. He pointed to the tablet, look if they might be on their way back. Elia turned the communicator on and heard a voice over the speaker. One in a tree, this is one in over. Elia said, "What should I do?" Jonathan grabbed the communicator. "This is one in a tree, radio silence, you fucking asshole." Pointing to a red dot on the tablet, Jonathan said, "That is good to be these guys here because they sped up, they are coming in from this direction, Joy, et shooted, at 3 o'clock." Joy replied. "No, it's around 6 o'clock." Jonathan logged and pointed, "No be said. They are coming in from this direction, 3 o'clock." She smiled. "Okay, yeah, I see it." Jonathan quickly asked, "How far can you make a direct hit without losing your intensity?" Joy said, "I don't know, we never measured that." Quickly, Jonathan took out his tablet again and started doing some calculation. "Roughly 5 to 10 mil, let's be on the safe side and say 7. Jonathan. Posed I thought, "No, let's be on the even safer side and say 6 miles. Plus, Romain me we need to work on concreting. Electromagnetic pulsar EMPS." Elia shooted, "Jonathan. They all are going this way." Grace had just arrived, saying, "Merci." Daniel returns to the cube and helps Wanyenyekevu and Jom get our stuff packed up, so we can get out of here. He will stay and help. Elisha, seeing Grace, shooted, "He got on ID." Looking at Jonathan, "Follow me." Grace is speed, Joy is a supercharged or electrical current, and I'm a force field. Jonathan smiled, "I'm way ahead of you." He turned to Grace. Grace, run in place, and every second, touch Joy, just barely touch her. Then Jonathan turned to Joy, "Joy, count in your head every time Grace touch you and then send a bolt of lightning toward Elia, and he'll tell Elisha where 2 points reflect the current." Grace slowly started running in place and barely tapped Joy on the shoulder every second. They took a minute before they were in sync. Joy said, "Okay, I got it. When do you want me to send Elisha a shock?" Jonathan said, "Elisha, you ready?" "Yeah." Et replié. Jonathan looked at Joy, "Go." Jonathan looked at Elisha. "Test one out. We are trying to shoot everything within a 6 mile radius. On my mark." Elisha shooted, "There's no time," et shooted. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Elisha started shooting down the ships with the 3 electrical blast like a cannon, with Jonathan acting as a target man. One by one, and then in less than a second, 4 were behind him. He turned and fashioned his force field to simultaneously destroy all 4 G-ships. Then 2 G-ships started shooting at Jonathan, he turned and destroyed those 2 and shooted to Mercy, "Get down." And destroyed the last 2. They shooted for Joy and rushed down the mountainside as quickly as possible. There, Wanyenyekevu and the rest waited for them patiently with the horse. "Let's go, let's go." They raced as fast as they could for hours, periodically shaking the tablet, and then slowed down before realizing that no one had eaten all day. Wanyenyekevu stopped at a nearby lake. Wanyenyekevu said proudly, "You four make one hell of a team. And for now, you four will always remain a team." Smiling at Daniel, Wanyenyekevu continued, "We all better get something to eat and regain our strength." Daniel didn't smile back like he usually did, which concerned him. They grouped in teams and went to find food, some went fishing, some went hunting, while others looked for berries and beans. Wanyenyekevu made sure he went with Daniel. They walked along the river. Wanyenyekevu started making the conversation, but no response from Daniel. Rabbit would be good right about now, wouldn't it? Still, no response as they walked. Daniel started throwing stars at an highway sign that read Hanover, New Mexico, 852. 2 miles. Wanyenyekevu asked Daniel. "What is troubling you, my little friend?" Daniel, with a sad look, said, "That is it, little, I haven't used my gift, but one time and that was discovering that he had it. I want to use my gift as well as the rest." Wanyenyekevu said, "Did you know that the human body is like a machine consisting of many parent systems that work together as one to carry out our bodily function? From head to toe, the human body can be divided into sections like your head, neck, and stomach. 2 arms and 2 legs, and these parts can be further divided. I tickled Daniel's stomach, but no response. 2 arms and 2 legs, and this part can be further divided. Grabbing Daniel by the hand and pointing to Parenamed. Upper arm, touching him on the forearm with his finger. Forearm, elbow, foot, knee, and shoulder. Daniel had a puzzled look on his face, but Wanyenyekevu continued, did you know our brain works like a computer? It's inside a skull, protecting it from injury, the brain signal our body to read, or write, run, and feel hot or cold. Our lungs are one of the largest organs in our body. We have 2 lungs in our body. They are close together because they work together. The lung on the left side is smaller than the one on the right side because it allows our heart to feel right in the middle. We use our lungs for breathing in and out. He took a big breath and blew out. Lungs supply our body with oxygen and get rid of carbon dioxide. Daniel stopped and looked at Wanyenyekevu with a funny look but with a smile. Wanyenyekevu kept on talking. We have 2 kidneys also in our body. The kidney clean our blood. They get rid of waste products carried in the blood. They check out the mineral, vitamin, and other nutrients we get from our food. He stopped again and paused, looking at Daniel. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Daniel said, no. Wanyenyekevu logged. We are a body, all of us, we work together like a machine. Sabaot HAS PUS together for a reason, so we have to think together a one. Your shift will be needed when one of us get hurt or sick. When we get where we are going, I'm sure you will use your shift more than you want to. Plus, your shift bring people closer to Sabaot. This is the second time I've tried to help you understand this. You see us do our job, we will see you do your. Patience, little man, patience. Making sure his point came across, Wanyenyekevu continued, yes, you little old Daniel, you are like our heart, it's one of the most important organs of our body. Our heart beats in our chest. The heart pumps blood and sang it through our whole body. Our heart beats faster when we run and even faster when we are in love. Daniel logged. You'll see that one when you meet your wife. Daniel blushed, jokingly. Wanyenyekevu said, I haven't even mentioned our bones and organs. Daniel looked at Wanyenyekevu and said, I get it. Wanyenyekevu, jokingly, nope, no. You don't. You've got your digestive system. That is the mouth, food pipe, stomach, liver, small intestine, and large intestine. Our digestive organ break down the food to provide our body with energy and raw material. Daniel, logging, okay, but he continued I logged and started tickling Daniel. You've got muscle along with your nervous, respiratory, and excretory system. Daniel looked at Wanyenyekevu, oh. Okay. You can stop it now. I understand.